Now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
All right, it is I, the mayor of the airwaves. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? On the line, of course, we have Randy Rhett, chairman of Senior Consumers of America. How are things up in upstate Florida? Is that where you are?
Well, I'm in St. Augustine. Actually, I'm sitting outside of Planet Fitness right now because I just finished working out.
Oh, did you?
And
I've been going
yeah,
there
so
lately myself, but well, anyway,
hey, it's a good thing.
good thing. Yep, it is a good thing, and it's inexpensive too. What, $10 a month?
Oh yeah, about $11 with
I don't,
tax, but yeah,
I don't know.
it's real easy.
I don't know how they do that, but anyway, in the studio, of course, running for U.S. Congress is John Heerton. He happens to be in the studio. He's here in the back room with Pastor John Vecchiano that has the Patriot Church, and his show is coming up. So I borrowed the two of them to come in. They may say something, they may say nothing, but I wanted them to hear what you had to say. Randy Ray, what are we discussing today, sir?
Well, I want to talk a little about third-party lawsuit financing, and there's a reason for that. Um, in the session of 2023, the state session, House and Senate session, they just passed some epic laws that move the needle for the state of Florida. The American Tort Reform Association puts out a list of the worst states for lawsuits and a lawsuit abuse and those kinds of things. And always in that list has been the Florida, for decades has been the state of Florida. But because of what I consider to be one of the most significant um, uh, legislative sessions ever last year, we were moved off that list. We're still on the watch list, but we've been moved off that list. And so in this year's session, there were some things that were taken up that a law, and specifically House Bill 1179, and it was going to further address issues. Not everything was fixed that needs to be fixed, but the issue of third-party lawsuit financing. And a lot of people don't even know that's a thing, but it is a thing. And this bill did not move forward. It did not get out of committee. And I'm just going to tell you that it's not because of the merit. And you've got John there who's uh, running for, I think, the U.S. Congress. It's not because of the merit. John is going to find out that a lot of things get stalled because of the simple, nasty politics. And it got caught in a political bind this year and didn't move forward. But it needs to move forward. As you know, um, Senior Consumers of America, we work with Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse. And by the way, that website is cala.com. We work with them, and they are constantly, and we with them are constantly trying to develop uh, a set of laws, or helping to influence a set of laws in Tallahassee that will make it better for the citizens of Florida, particularly the senior citizens of Florida. And as you know, Rhett, as goes Florida, so goes much of the United States. Florida is just kind of a lighthouse for a lot of the United States, and whatever happens here, especially in those conservative, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, Republican-led states, whatever happens in the state of Florida often signals something that might happen there. And to that end, we do need to address third-party lawsuits and, excuse me, third-party financing of lawsuits. And the reason we need to address it is because, as it is with anything, when you're dealing with legal matters, the loopholes are found. And when the loopholes are found, they are abused. And when they are abused, well, quite frankly, you suffer, your listeners suffer, I suffer. There's a tort tax in the state of Florida, and I call it that because that's what we refer to it as. It's the cost of living, and how the cost of living is influenced in every citizen of the state of Florida. Every citizen in the state of Florida is influenced $800 annually because of lawsuit abuse. Every single citizen, every man, woman, and child. Now, I haven't done
Hold
the
on.
math
And
on
what's
that.
the population of Florida right now?
Well, that's what I was doing. I was just thinking, let's just do the math on that. I don't know what the population of Florida is. It? I
Siri
don't.
will
Is
know.
it
Hold
20
on a
million?
second. Hold on. Hey Siri, what's the population of Florida? 21 and a half million.
Okay, let's do this. Let's roll that tort tax up to
My
a
God.
thousand and roll the population back to 20 million. And so 20 million times 1,000. You do the math on that. I'm not.
What
How
is
many
that?
zeros is
Two?
that?
Is that 2 billion?
Yeah, yeah.
Why am I instantly
Yeah.
deferring to John Vecchiano? And he's going, why are you all looking at me?
Hey, come on.
Why do we
somebody's
think
got
the
a calculator.
pastor's the mathematician
Well,
here?
because he has a school and he teaches math, so he should.
Oh, do you? Do you teach math? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Oh, good. Isn't that what funny? We
Okay.
naturally
Usually I
defer
have my
to.
accountant take care of these bigger numbers for me. But
So 20 million times $1,000.
What's the guesstimate
Bury
on
the zeros.
that? That sounds like 2 billion.
I think it's 2
I
billion.
thought it was more, but
Yeah.
20,
Yeah. Well, it's
20 million
It's not. It has to be.
times 1,000.
It has to
It's
be.
$800.
Well,
That's a lot of
the
money.
point being made. The
Yeah.
point being made. While the green room works out
20
the
billion?
math.
20 billion.
No, it couldn't be 20
Is it-
billion.
Yeah.
It's 20
20
billion?
You
carry
I thought it
the
was more.
zeros.
Yeah, you carry
Yeah.
the zeros over. 20
20
billion.
billion.
Yep.
Now, what does that
Okay.
mean? Okay, so so they are. I have to pay Let's just break it down to for numbers, the tens. Okay, so I pay $1,000 a year as a citizen in Florida
Yep.
in taxes
Yep.
for tort.
Yeah,
What-
tort tax. You pay the cost. Your cost to live in the state of Florida is $1,000
I understand.
more.
What does that money go
Because-
towards, though? Does that paying
Well,
people
it's-
off for lawsuits?
No. What that is that's the increase in the price of goods and services because of the protection
Oh,
that,
I see.
that
Yeah,
businesses
yeah,
must
yeah.
have. When I was a pastor, and I think we've talked about this before. At one time, we had 150 employees. It was a pretty good operation, and we had to the insurance costs were out the roof for us because of uh,
Sure.
the very thing that I'm talking about right now. So when we're talking about a tort tax, we're talking about the fact that, and as the math was done, that in the state of Florida, it costs $20 billion more for the conglomerate citizens to live than it would have were we not in this state of lawsuit abuse. And adding to that lawsuit abuse, of course, as we are discussing, is this third party financing. I want to explain third party financing because it's a little hard to wrap your head around. Let's say that someone is in a slip and fall at a retail store, a large retailer in South Florida, and they're involved in that slip and fall, and so they call XYZ lawyers, and XYZ lawyers say, "Well, okay, we're going to take your case. There'll be a $20,000 retainer, or a $10,000 retainer, or whatever it may be." They say, "I can't afford that. I can't do that." There's financing available. Now, when you say there's financing available, that means it can go one of several directions. Uh, that law firm itself can finance it, and when they do, here's the way that works. They say, "We're going to finance it. We're going to charge you an interest rate, but we're also going to take a larger portion of your settlement than we would have taken otherwise because we are basically holding both ends of the rope." So it can be done that way. An individual can come along in South Florida and say, "Hey, I've set up an LLC for the purpose of financing lawsuits, and I've got money available." And so XYZ attorneys will say to that person that had the slip and fall, "Hey, look, I'm going to call this LLC over here
Yeah.
because they do financing." Now, we'll have to sign an agreement with them, and that agreement is that you will repay them the money, and there will be interest on that, but also there will be a percentage of the settlement will go to them. So they not only get the interest, they get a percentage.
It's
of
all
the settlement.
greed. It's all greed driven.
Yeah, and let me go you a third step on this. And this is where it really gets touchy because this is happening. Third party financing can also be done by a foreign government or people in a foreign government. And that simply means that China, Venezuela, Russia, Iran, name whatever country you want to name, England, Canada, any country you want to name, that people in that country can finance lawsuits in the United States. Now, what is the issue with that? Well, let's say it's a frivolous lawsuit. Well, first of all, if they're in the business of financing frivolous lawsuits, here's what happens. It drives the cost for small businesses out the roof. Uh, the Let's say the slip and fall was at a mom and pop corner grocery, and all of a sudden they have this massive lawsuit, and somebody says, well, look, we're going to come in and we're going to finance this thing to the tune of whatever it takes to get this huge settlement against them. Well, their insurance rates go out the roof. They can't do business next year because they lost their insurance this year. So it's a vicious thing. Now, that being said, Rhett, in
Yeah.
all fairness, there there are situations where third party financing may be needed. For instance, um, again, let's say stay with the slip and fall in South Florida. That person has a serious problem now, and they're unable to work. I mean, they're bedridden. I've got a sister right now who's 81 years old, and she is pretty much in the bed because she has got such a back issue. This person in South Florida, XYZ, has this kind of issue. They can't get. You have expenses of $10,000 a month or $6,000 a month, whatever it is. You're going to be in this lawsuit for 2 years. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to fund you for these 2 years.
What happens if
And
you
so,
lose, though? They lose that money. They write it off?
no, that no, they don't. And the reason they don't is because you enter into a contract with them, and they're not going to lose their money.
Well, how do
That
they
money
get it
is
back
going to
then? If you don't win the
well,
case, how do they get it back?
well, I would think that it's leveraged. I would think that, and it's just like any other loan. Nobody's going to make a loan unless there's some sort of leverage on that loan. It's not just a
Oh.
signature loan. And so they have the leverage of the lawsuit. I'm sure they have other leverage as well. Your home, your third child, whatever it may be. They're going to have
But
that
then it's
kind of
just, well, hold
leverage.
on, sir. But then it's just delayed pain. For instance, let me take you out into another world. I wrote a
Okay.
song for a Hallmark movie 7 years ago, and
All right.
it came out, and it was seen by 43 million people in America. It's been seen around the world by tens of millions of people. Now, I get
Right.
residual checks after Christmas. It's a Christmas song every year in February. First year I got maybe 600, then it was 400. Now it's maybe 125 every year. And it gives me a
Right.
listing that it was in Denmark, it played in Israel, it played in Estonia. I remember that because I've been to Estonia, blah, 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 all these places. Now, after 6 years, my wife says, how come you never get a domestic check? So an old friend of mine from New York looked into it, and he contacted the producers. And the producer said, oh, well, no, it's a Rhett Palmer that was living in the 1940s, and he died in the
Ah,
1940s. Now, I asked Noah, who's studying to be a paralegal, why would they do this? He says, because then the song has become technically public domain, much harder
right.
for you to ever get your money. And if I hire an attorney at $500 an hour,
Right.
10 little hours is $5,000. I've never made 5,000 with the song. So here I am. When I get a check for 225 bucks for that song, it's not about the 225 bucks. I've actually, wow, well, people are hearing my music. I can
Yeah.
die
Yeah.
knowing that maybe I made, and it mentions Jesus, and who knows, maybe I'm, cha-ching, I'm getting a little recognition up above or something. But that matters to
Right.
me more than the money. But I can't afford to spend $5,000 to maybe make $1,000. And so if I
Yeah.
mean, it's so unfair.
Well, and it is, and quite honestly, let's just take your scenario. Uh, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. However, let's
I
let's
don't play
say
one on TV.
uh, let's say that a lawyer looks at it and says, you know what, Rhett,
Mm.
you're dealing with some pretty deep pockets here.
Mm.
I think
ASCAP.
they've done you wrong, and so we're going to go after them for $2 million. and with the understanding that we may get $250,000. And they're not going to say that to you, but they're going to go after $2 million. Well, at that point, then Rhett, I would think that you'd say, well, I haven't made even $5,000 on this, but if I can make $250,000, and
And
I'm not,
give
and by the
50,
way,
give 40% to the law firm, right?
On a
or,
contingency. Yeah.
yeah, however
Contingency.
that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, however that works. And they say we need a retainer, and you say I don't really want to do a retainer. And then they'll say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll get that financed for you on the front end, and you'll have to sign some paperwork. They may make sure that your collateral is good or whatever, and then they proceed from there.
Yeah, but
And,
I'm
and let
still
me
going
tell
to
you
owe that money if we lose.
that, yeah, you will. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And therein lies part of the issue regarding the House bill that got stuck in the political committee, House Bill 1179,
Yeah.
because there were disclosures put into that House bill that have to be done. And by the way, let me just say this: that part of that disclosure is, and it's you're going to blow your it's going this is going to blow your mind. The name, address, location, and citizenship of the person that is financing, or the entity that is financing your lawsuit, that can be covered now. That can be clandestine, and so in this bill, then there was that portion that said, "Hey, look, you're going to have to reveal who you are so that you'll know. Okay, this person wants to finance my lawsuit over the Christmas song. However, this person is in China. They've got this particular thing, and they're a member of the Communist Chinese Party. I don't think I want to be in bed with them." At least you'll have that option. You can say, okay, I've got this person that wants to do it versus that person that wants to do it. Right now, it's clandestine. You have no understanding, no revelation whatsoever of who they are, how they're doing it. And here's the other thing, Rhett. There is also an abuse in this regard, in that they direct the lawsuit oftentimes. They'll say, okay, Rhett, it's your lawsuit, but we're going to direct it now because we've got skin in the game. And so they start putting demands on it, and it's for the purpose of raising, whatever they want. Or they'll say this has got to be settled. When Rhett says, I don't want to settle this thing, and they said, nah, yeah, but we're the ones that put the money in, and so we're going to make sure this thing gets settled, and so on. They can take the direction of that case out of your hands. Quite frankly, they can take it out of the lawyer's hands if they want to, because they're the ones who have the financing. And therein lies an issue. Therein lies more of the problem. And also in this bill, and I know we're coming up on the end of our time, but also on this bill, there was a provision that prohibits. Um, I'll put it to you this way: finder's fees. Um, uh, let's say, well, I'll give you an example. When I was a pastor in Tallahassee, I was sitting in a lawyer's office, and um, the lawyer, after we did the business that we did, he said to me, "This is what he said." He said, "Hey, Pastor, I want to tell you something. I know that you're new at the church, uh, but I've had an agreement with a former pastor, and with others around town,
Mm-hmm.
because you visit hospitals a lot, and you may see the potential for a lawsuit. And if you pass that along to me and we're able to pursue it," he said, I've done as much as $1,000, $2,000, and that I write the check to him or to whoever, and I don't know whether they put it in the church offering or not, but that's really none of my business. Now, I will tell you, I got a cold sweat when that was said to me, because I knew that was, if not illegal, it was certainly unethical
Mm-hmm.
for a pastor to do such things. In this bill, that again didn't get out of committee, and the reason we're on the radio is because this coming next session, we want this out of committee. Uh, this bill addresses those kinds of issues. There's all kinds of hidden issues around legislation like this, and so therein lies the purpose for it, and the hope that it gets some movement this coming session.
Can we, the people, do anything to help?
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got John sitting there. I think his name is Herton.
Yep.
John is running for Congress, and I'll tell you what John is saying right now to people that that are he's talking to. He's saying, "I want to go to Congress and I want to represent you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be your representative in Congress." And they'll ask him this: "Will you listen to us?" And I believe John will say, "Yes, I will. I will listen to you because I'm running for Congress because I am someone who will listen." Now, it becomes it becomes incumbent upon John once he gets elected to actually listen and to actually respond to constituents and hear what they have to say, rather than becoming so busy or so staff led that the staff runs everything. And you have to have staff, obviously, but
That's the problem. I had a U.S. senator come down and have lunch with me, explain to me that they're trying to set up these places where the kids the kids or people that are running, because when you get into office, it's going to take you a year to catch on. So who's making the decisions?
exactly.
It's not the guy that gets elected. It's he's shaking hands and doing autographs and getting pictures taken. And oh my God!
Actually,
It is. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I actually have 5 bills that are already teed up based upon input from the population. So
well, that's good. He's a successful businessman, so he knows how to get stuff done.
Okay, and that answers Rhett's question. What can the citizens do? The citizens can contact their representatives and senators. Your listeners can contact the representatives and senators and talk about, let me give it to you again, House Bill 1179 that did not get out of committee last session.
Yeah, 1179.
1170.
Yep.
Yeah, just talk and say, hey, look, we need to get that out of committee because we've got some hidden issues regarding third-party lawsuit financing that need to be addressed. And you guys did such a great job in the 2023 session.
Yeah.
Let's resurrect that thing. Let's go ahead and fix the rest of the problem. That's what your listeners can do, and that's what I hope they will do.
Randy Ray, the people's advocate up there. Thank you, Chairman for Senior Consumers of America. Good to see your smiling face every time.
Hey, it's good to talk to you today. CALA.com. People go there and sign up, okay?
Say that again.
CALA, Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse.com, or SeniorConsumersOfAmerica.org. Either one. I want them both, okay?
Thank you, Randy Ray. God bless you.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay.
All righty. Bye-bye.